Okay, so welcome to another Dacurate Podcast episode. My name is Adini, and on the podcast today we have Nnana and Tami, who have been very good contributors to Dacurate, and we look forward to speaking with them on this particular episode. I will open the floor to both Nnana and Tami to introduce themselves. If Tami will want to go first, and then Nnana afterwards.
Let a guy go first this time around. It mustn't be ladies first all the time, you know.
Fair enough. All right. So hi everyone. My name is Nnana and so I like to think I wear a bunch of hats, but somehow all of them tend to revolve around business development, right? So I'm the co-founder of Officer Job, which is a peer-to-peer contribution platform for corporate employees. And I also happen to be the head of growth there. And I happen to be a business development professional outside that. So it's great to be here.
Awesome.
Tami?
Hello everyone. So my name is Tami Siri Banigo. So I tend to not wear so much hats, just like Nana. But yeah, so I am currently the head strategy, marketing, and sales for Premium Power Solution. To the side, I do a lot of consulting, writing, growth development. So I grow businesses, you know. So I consider myself to be a strategist. Yes, so I have been with Dacurate for a year plus now. It's been an amazing journey. Always looking forward to collaborating, you know, because I love the work that Dacurate do. So I'm glad and happy that, you know, I was given the opportunity to be with Dacurate. So yeah, so that's just from me.
All right, thank you both. I think you both have very stellar resumes. And Tammy, just to give you a correction, I think you do wear many hats based on your introduction, from strategy to also helping brands, and it's impressive. So we encourage people not to limit themselves. We want to, what's the word now? We want you to be proud
Delve into
and
many things.
want you to delve into it.
He wears
So
more hats than I do.
exactly. So thank you both. So let's get right into it. So as the episode, as the title of the episode is school a scam? Based on your vast experiences and everything you do, how do you think school is a scam? And I'll leave it open to either of you to.
Nope, you started first. You're leading.
Fantastic. So, actually, it's a very interesting question. I remember when I saw the flyer and I was informed about the conversation. I started to think really deeply about this subject. Right, is school a scam? If you had asked me this question, probably like when I was in the university, when we were still having to submit our assignments and meet up to deadlines and all of that, and then you're seeing a lot of people out there who are just like doing like basic hustles, maybe selling wigs or, doing a bunch of other things, and then actually driving these fancy cars and living the kind of life that a student wants to live. I would have been tempted to say, yeah, school is a scam, right? But like I said, that was some years ago. Years down the line to where I find myself today, I have, by the grace of God, I've been able to witness the other side of education and the actual power of education, right? It's so deep that I don't think I would trade being educated with anything else, because it's something that is not just, it doesn't just affect the value you have to offer, but it also affects your perception of yourself, your perception of society, and it's really deep. It's a lot deeper than earning power. It's a lot deeper than spending power. It's a lot deeper than, it goes down to even your persona, your personality, the way you think, and the way you contribute to society. Um, um, Not just in terms of value as in handwork, but also value as in your personality, your composure, and things of that nature. So education.
Okay, that's
Tami, any thoughts
fantastic.
on that?
Yes. So for me, I would go two ways, right? Um, I would argue if it is just to find some sort of like equilibrium, you know. Um, so if I'm to go for education, I would say that many people would argue that there are so many factors that would be involved. So from the method to the curriculum to financial burden. So many would argue that cost of education, particularly, higher education, is exorbitant. Um, Going to school, you find people say, "Oh, do you know what? I can go to a public school and I'll get, this type of education." And people would say, "Oh no, I would rather go to a private school, a more expensive school, because I would have a better education." So it's kind of like relative. When it comes to standard, particularly in Nigeria, right? Critics will say that it has to differ with individuals. So relative styles, how are you teaching the students? Why do I say so? Because we're in a country where in for example in Africa, the tribes, and they bring up issues about or scenarios around the Igbo way of teaching. So most people may not necessarily afford the luxury of going to school, but then would afford the traineeship, you know um like having to go to Aba to do trading, to serve a master. So that's also education. So that's why I said I would argue it for and against. And then what exactly would I go against? It's about foundation. So what kind of structural environment can people learn basic skills, reading, writing, mathematics? But I can also now learn, this type of education on YouTube, or having to speak to people, or even having to go to the market by counting your 5 naira that you make every day. That's also education. So I wouldn't call it a scam, right? Because they're informal education and formal education, but they're still education. That's what I would say about it.
I like the way you both gave different perspectives, and especially with Tammy's examples about informal and formal. So I think we're getting the good gist of it. Thank you both for those answers. They're very, very. I'm actually has my gears grinding, and I'm thinking about okay, this question also. So having experienced education in Nigeria, primary, secondary, tertiary, whichever one. Do you think the perception of education has evolved over time in the Nigerian society? And even though Tammy, you just spoke, I would like you to.
Okay. So it's quite interesting. So over the decade, like education in Nigeria has basically evolved from being, solely a ticket to social mobility, right? Let's take a trip down memory lane. Um, in primary school, or when you go into education in Nigeria, you're like, oh, do you know what? You need to be educated to secure a job. I need to go to school because yes, I want to get a particular job. And the university degree is often seen as the ultimate goal. It's like you must have that university certificate. But then with vocation, like I said, vocation took a back seat. And right now the economy has evolved so much that the job market is more competitive, right? There's a basic shift in perception nowadays. You have recognition to vocational skills, technical education, and of course, all of these meet the demand, in changing economy. How many people, if you look in reality, how many of the content creators, have really had like maybe a doctorate, or it's just quite a number of people. I'm not trying to say that creatives, people that or vocational skills, people who don't have like education. Why do I say this? I work in a sector where I deal with artisans a lot, right? And you find that a lot of these people lack some basic skills, some in terms of communication. You understand me? So it's almost like you have to micromanage. You have to micromanage them. So I'm dealing with, engineers, technical people, mechanics, and it's like without, you know, how far have we gone currently in order for these people to be quite educated? But now I have a couple of technicians that are saying, Ma, I'm actually taking classes in Lasso, evening classes, because I want to, push further in life. So I think the environment now has helped people or individuals to say, see, I need more for myself. And in order for me to do that, I need some basic skills. And those skills I can get, in the tertiary institutions. So for me, yes, over time, education has evolved in Nigeria. And you find that like, even normally, I can take, for example, the doctors, how many percentage of doctors that have come out now and we're exporting these talents. It's crazy, and more people are going to school, So yes, over time, it has changed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that response. That was very insightful. So, Corey.
Yes. Sorry, please hold on. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Tammy, for that. So let me ask Nana. What do you think? Why do you think there's a disconnect between schooling and real life success? It just seems like there's a disconnect. Why do you think that is the case?
Yeah, fantastic question. Just like Tammy said, very well, excellently answered. I feel like there is a little gap when it comes to people's perception of education and the societal outputs of like success and finances and all of that. However, I will just try. I'll put it in two cadres, right? I'll break it down into two cadres. Um, so there's the first cadre where it's like, okay, so you attend school, right, and then you're seeing, like I said earlier, you're seeing people working, and then thanks to globalization nowadays, right, where you can be on TikTok and then you can make money, or you can be on social media, or you could just do something online that doesn't exactly need a degree. That's the first cadre where, okay, young graduates, the Gen Z, as people like to call them, start to ask themselves questions like, okay, if I can do these things at home and be on TikTok and be on X, which was formerly Twitter, and here and there, and making this little money, or I could just learn cryptocurrency and learn trading, learn Forex, or just find something to do, be a web developer. I'm just trying to, throw a few ideas out there and make money, probably even more than, my uncle who is working in the bank, or my auntie who is working in the hospital. Why do I need to go and finish my degree? And I stand to be corrected, right? But I would think there's probably, a commensurate level of people leaving schools as well. I know a few myself, people who will be like, you know what, I'm just going to drop this thing and then focus on something that's actually, bringing me money, right? I'll put that in the first cadre. Then you have the second cadre, right? Second cadre is where you get to the level where, okay, yes, you've made money from tech, you've made money from influencing, you've made money from all these things. It's not a question of growth, right? It's not a question of how do I get to the next level of my business? How do I get to the next level of what I do, right? I'm a web developer, I'm an influencer. I've had a few friends reach out because they know I do business development and, growth and all of that. And then what I always hear is, okay, Nnana, I didn't take school seriously, but I've made it. I've made it from influencing on Instagram. I've made it from my tech business. Even very recently, someone reached out and said, you know what, I want to take it to the next level. I want to set up, I want to structure what I have going on, to be able to reach for the stars. And that is when they now circle back to education, and they're not like, okay, you know what, Nnana, okay, tell me, you went to LBS. I want to do a course at LBS. Okay, okay, as a more like on a basic level, I'm not seeing the wealth in society commensurate to the education in society. The young people like me, I'm seeing doing big things and not carrying book on their heads. They dropped out from school. They got third class, and they're making cool cash. So I feel like at that level, it's expected. I think it's fine to see people doubt the power of education. But then as they climb up the ladder in society and in hierarchy, they get to learn that, this thing is actually really important. So I think that's what I have to say.
Awesome. Let's continue on that chain of thoughts regarding that. We can't forget the role of family and environment in our life views. So what role do you think parents and society plays in contributing to this conversation about school and being a scam, or school and as the ticket to success?
So is that for me or for Tami?
Yeah, for you. Then we go to Tami. So
okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I think family plays a major role. Aside from the early stage, because we are from an African society where I'm sure each of us on this call had the whole, background of like, you have to go to school, you have to do assignments, you have to do this, you have to do that, and get the person that is coming first does not have two heads. The person that is coming first does not have two heads. Is he not your classmates? Is the same group? All of those things kind of drove us when we were much younger, and drove us to, it didn't drive me because I did not used to read, but anyways, I think, speaking generally, we can encourage our younger ones to aspire for more. Conversations like this can be had on a family level, where you make people understand, you make your younger ones understand, or your children understand that, look, you may not see the power of this thing now, but trust me, this thing will come to play. Like, you're going to need it. You are going to need it. So you might as well, yes, by all means, practice what you want to practice, gain your skills, because as far as I'm concerned, right, skills come first. Skills come first, right? Get your skills, practice what you love and what is, viable. So I think I was reading this book on Good to Great by Jim Collins, where he talked about the hedgehog concept. And then the hedgehog concept is where what you love meets with what you love, what produces money for you. So the place where what you love meets what produces money for you, that is like your pinnacle, right? So you encourage younger people to find what makes money, what I love. Fine, do that thing, but get your degree, right? Get it, and you're not just getting it to say, I have my degree, or daddy. Like, a lot of our Nigerian musicians will say their parents disturbed them to get it. When they got the degree, they just went and said, Daddy, see your degree, I'm going to chase music. You're not just doing that to say, here's my degree, but you're doing that to imbibe yourself. It's a lot deeper than that. And I will say that as someone who has an MBA, right? And I'm sure Tami can definitely relate to that as well. Like, it does something to you. It just changes the way you look at things, the way you look. And funny enough, it's not just in the corporate world or in the business world, but in life in general, which is how I started the whole conversation, right? So, attacking your question back is like, family, parents, right, siblings, uncles, we need to actually advocate these things directly to our younger ones and make them understand the power of education, because it's I feel like it's definitely going to help the world at large on the larger scale. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Tami, please, same question.
Yes. So I'll just take start from the factors, something that like I think it's important. So for me, I'm bringing it to practical Nigerian factors, right? Let's say, for example, there's a disconnect, right? A lot of disconnection. I would say 60-40. Why do I say this? I like to use practical examples, like I said. Let's say, curriculum, which is a factor, right? You find that often was a teacher, she's a director now, so there were a lot of like complaints, meaning, she taught in a public school, one of the government schools. And you hear her say, oh, it's outdated, they're failing to, equip students with practical, skills that are needed in today's job. How is that possible? You take, for example, someone that wants to study history, you know, and you find out that, oh, I've gone to school, I have a history degree, and you come outside and you find out that while they have vast knowledge of the past, right, they struggle to find, employment currently because they're dealing in the past. And they fail to understand some skills like critical thinking skills, problem solving, so for me it's like there's often a lack of like guidance and mentorship growing up. Like we are opportunity to say, oh, I need a mentor to tell me ABC, before leaving school. And then when the individual leaves school, you find that like you're lost, going from school to the workforce. It's like, oh, I have history degree, but am I finding the job market open to my degree, meaning history? You find that they now start taking other jobs. I want to do communication, or I want to do, I want to go on and start, learning those technical skills. So that's one. Now, where do the parents, come into play? So parental and societal expectations, basically. The influence is undeniable, you know. There's pressure, for example, when you're starting off from the homes, your father will say, oh, do you know what, Nana? I want you to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be the first lawyer in our house, without understanding that the child would want to pursue something in probably fine arts, right? It mustn't always be medicine and law. Now, I would take myself for an example. Growing up, my parents always thought that like I would, um, be a medical doctor. But then I found myself reading lots of books and novels. I could read anything, any book at all. I would be locked up in the bathroom for 3 hours, 4 hours. They would look for me, they won't find me, or So it was a problem, and I had to now deal with the pressure that, oh, you know what, I need to do maths. I need to, because my families, would think, oh yeah, I had lots of lesson teachers, so they just assumed that, she's gonna do medicine. And I was in science class, and then I switched. In fact, because I wrote my WIEC from SS2, courtesy my mom, she was a teacher. So, and I did government, economics, and those subjects, and I passed it. And then it's like I switched from the expectation, my daughter is going to be a medical doctor. Fine. It's like, okay, so you're not doing medicine, so you can do, law. And I ended up switching from law to international business for second degree and then MBA. And then your parents are like, what are you, why? So what's the law degree for? Considering they paid my school fees, outside the country. It's like, why are you doing that? So like I said, nowadays students are being forced to go into paths or without considering their own interest and their own passion. And it's this feeling basically has led to this perception that education is a scam. So the pressure to conform to what society wants from us can be detrimental to any individual, and of course that would definitely hinder personal growth. So yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that, for the responses, Tammy and Nana. when we started this call, you had both expressed that you're part of the Dacurate family, and you both have a peculiar, not skill set, but you have something peculiar with Dacurate, which is that you were both judges at the Boy Child Initiative that Dacurate had last year in partnership with Deborah's Place. So, such initiatives, what are your thoughts on those kind of initiatives? How do you think it probably promotes the concept of education and improving the educational sector in Nigeria? And Nana, you can go first, and then we'll have time to go afterwards.
All right. Thank you so much, Nee, for that question. Right. So my approach to things like this is the more conversations we have, the less wrong conversations we allow people to have, our younger ones to have. So the more we speak up on issues concerning education and of course every other, socially important topic, the less the chances of them getting wrong answers from people, just to put it simply, right? So I think we need to do more like that. And once again, hats off to Dacurate. Kudos to, Korede and his team for the amazing work they are doing. Because so I'm just saying, right? It's not to say I wouldn't be, but I'm just saying, right? So it's something very beautiful and something very beneficial to not just themselves, not just their families.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Tami.
Oh, thank you for the question as well. Just like Nana said, initiatives like the Boy Child is actually breath of fresh air. Um, this is because these are conversations around gender equality and education. And doing for the boy child is, like I said, a breath of fresh air because a lot of times we see it done for just the girl child. And it's really, really important that we also look at, the boy child as well. Um, Pairing young boys with male models can provide, support. And of course, this would address some unique challenges that any boy child will face, in terms of education. Um, I would say whether it's, tackling masculinity or providing, such academic supports, they actually do play a crucial role. So I like the fact that Dacurate, is for the boy child. It's You're basically playing a crucial role in creating a more inclusive and equitable education, for the males, for the boy child. So my thoughts towards it, come on, it's fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, Dacurate is doing more things, not just for the boy child, but doing for female. Like, and you also mentioned something important about um just trying to be equitable across board, all genders, people from different cadres
Mhm.
society. So Dacurate is really doing a very good job with that, and I'm sure you have. Um, if you want to share it now or maybe later, what your feedback was from those two events and what you expect from other events also that Dacurate will be hosting. And Tami, you can give us your feedback, and Nana can give us your feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before Tami goes,
So
before Tami goes, Nana, we're doing Unkobi for this for the school leadership quiz that we're having. So just keep that in mind. No, that one you don't have to ask any questions now. They are school leadership quiz panel session. Nana Alu is already on there, so you're covered. Okay.
You can get palm
So
wine to wash it down.
there you go. Sorry about that, Tami, please.
Yeah.
okay, fantastic, guys. Yes, I hope the packs will be like more than the two we had. It was the food was too much, but yeah, it was good. So I do remember it. So just like Nana rightly said, it was an avenue for networking, and I'm big on networking, not just for the judges per se, but also for the kids, the boys. Um, for me, it was awesome. I can imagine some of them would have gotten friends from the next, from other schools. Um, so such initiatives are something that, like, I look forward to. I appreciate um, a lot. And not only for that, also mentorship. Mentorship is something that I also hold dear to my heart, and I know for a fact that some of the boys, some judges would want to, or go back and ask, oh, how is this boy doing? He was debating quite um well, and so I'd like to continue with him. I'd like to mentor him. So, such things, for me, networking, mentorship is crucial.
All right, great. Thank you both for your impressive responses on all the questions that we've asked. To close this episode out, we would just like to find out from you, since both of you have some form of leadership and entrepreneurial experiences, there's been kind of like a call to action for entrepreneurs to help to solve so many problems in Nigeria and even Africa as a whole. So, what type of education do you think people require that will help create the next generation of tech and leadership millionaires and billionaires like Nana, Alu, and Tami, Siri, Banigo, the Dangotes, the Elumelus, the Otedolas? What type of education do you think we need? So, which of our billionaires?
That I'm leading the conversation now. So let me
Okay,
just,
no problem.
you know, this is I think this is like probably my best question so far.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm gonna answer from a very deep place because I'm someone who believes in I believe a lot in deep thoughts, and I believe a lot in a concept I would call spontaneous education, right? So what do I mean by spontaneous education? And this goes to answer the question, right, of what kind of education I think we need, not just in the world, but particularly in Nigeria and as young people. I think we need to be in a place where, thank God for smartphones, right? Thank God for the internet. Thank God for globalization. It has its positives and it has its negatives. But being able to use your phone on the spot, look up something, check up something, read articles, learn, repost, share, that is where we need to be at mentally. I don't think we need to still wait for certain conversations to be had in the classroom to
Yeah.
learn those concepts. I don't think we still need to wait for um, and don't get me wrong, right? Of course, the formal education, going to the classrooms and getting certification and all of that is definitely very important. But where we need to be at for a practicable level of execution and involvement in society has to be more spontaneous. It has to be more accessible. AI is doing big things. I cannot even start to talk about the power of ChatGPT. Look, I was making a joke the other day and I told someone that, look, if I could marry ChatGPT, I probably would just marry ChatGPT and save myself stress of women. But it's not my that's a lighter bit. Because that thing is so powerful, you know. And I think we need to get to a place where we learn on the spot. I think we need to get to a place where we learn and learn. We don't have to wait for the formal. Like I said, get the formal, but let's be more spontaneous with our education, and that will take us to a deeper level of learning. So yeah, thank you.
Spontaneous education, brilliant. Tammy, what type of education do we need to create the next generation of people like you?
Ooh. So going off from Nana, mine is a little bit deeper. So education. So I put it in three phases, right? First of all, for you to explore entrepreneurship, it has to be part of the curriculum from
Mm.
an early stage. So from when you are going to primary school, teachers should basically do it like you're running a business, you know? Like it should be like, identify everything, don't just allow the student to think outside of the box. Don't cage. there are so many debates going on currently to say that, do you think that education is just, it's another prison, apart from the prison system we have? And I would say yes. So for me, it's first of all embedding this entrepreneurship in the curriculum, right? So skills like financial literacy should be there, market analysis from the tender age, planning as well. So exposing, individuals, children to, have this whole ownership mentality, from a younger age. And then secondly, I would say mentorship. Mentorship in terms of shaping these entrepreneurs, um, in terms of wisdom, in terms of the skills, the confidence, communication, the passion, the vision, it's only a mentor. And the mentor could be your parents, and apart from that, not just having one mentor, having multiple. I have a lot of mentors. Nana
Mhm.
could attest to that. It's like, oh, this is my mentor, this one. They're like, how many do you have? As many as possible. In fact, Adeni, you can be my mentor. I may want to learn something from you. That's it. That's how I that's how I see these things, and of course it would shape um um and accelerate, the process. And then thirdly is the practical aspect of it. That's why I'm also particular about Tony Elumelu's Africapitalism, and the Igbo, what's the word again? It's so crazy how you're thinking about it. And then apprenticeship, it's the practical
Okay.
experience that would translate, the theoretical knowledge in the real life, in real world success. So for me, it's
Mhm.
these three things, right? Curriculum embedding the entrepreneurship as one, and then secondly, having mentors, that would guide you, that would shape you, because it's easy to say, oh, I want to start a business, but do you have the confidence to sustain it? I know for a fact that, like, people would say, oh, go outside there, but how scared are you to start? It's important for you to understand
Yeah.
what kind of passion do you have? Are you seeing the overall vision? All of these things are important. And then practice, practice makes perfect. So for me, it's about, immersing students in an entrepreneurial environment, and I would encourage them to take, such roles, leadership roles. Of course, it will cultivate their resilience, and they can adapt to the thriving, world dynamics. We can take China, for example. So Africa is, Nigeria is, I'm referring this to Nigeria basically. We have over, right now, we haven't done the census, but I know for a fact that we're almost hitting 300 like if we're being realistic. And the 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 type of manpower we have here is crazy, you know.
Mhm.
So going into production, going into everything, it's like a chain reaction. So how do you now do it? These three things for me would stand out, you know, um, embedding entrepreneurship right from the tender age, let's and I'm sure even in the first world countries and currently even now in Nigeria, I see, parents saying, "Oh, have you saved in your piggy bank?" Or, "I need you to buy this. You're going to use your own." So all of these things are
Yeah.
practical examples from a tender age, and in creating the next generation for me, in conclusion, would be, like you said, like Dangotes and the Elumelus and the Otedolas requires this um multifaceted educational approach, incorporates entrepreneurship into curriculum, foster mentorship relationship, and most importantly, provide that ample, opportunities for the practical experience. So by having this and by nurturing an entrepreneurship mindset from an early, age, would, turn out into great, they would have great realities, and of course that would drive the positive change in Nigeria and beyond. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very, very much. I've also learned a lot of things based on your feedback and just enjoyed the conversation that we've had on today's episode. So thank you both so much for your time. And okay, it's enough of the clapping. Not saying that they don't deserve all the clapping and everything. So thank you once again. We really appreciate everything that you're doing on Dacurate, and we look forward to collaborating more with you. And as we're speaking, we want everyone listening or watching us to please like, subscribe, comment, and follow Dacurate on all social media platforms. We're available on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and if you just type Dacurate, I'm sure you'll find something somewhere. Even High Five that was there before. I think we're on High Five. And there's an upcoming event called the School Leadership Quiz, which will be holding May 24th, and we're expecting a huge turnout of students. Please comment and talk to us on all social media platforms to see how you can be part of that event. So we're looking forward to all the conversations. Once again, thank you very much to our guests today, and that will be the end of today's episode. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day and week wherever you are. Ciao.
Hi guys.
All right, thanks.